Okay, I just got back from work, and it's about 9:45, almost 10 p.m. And today was a pretty awesome day. So I woke up pretty late, and so I didn't have enough time to get to the lab before the first seminar meeting. But it was really interesting. It was my first time observing one of the meetings, and in the meeting, I think it was a postdoc student. She was going through a bunch of different papers, academic papers, and explaining what's so significant about them. So you could see all of her notes and her highlighting on these different papers, and she identified what she thought was most important and compelling about these papers. So I found that was really interesting. Everyone in the lab, they would ask her questions, and she would get really good practice with explaining the concepts and presenting. And the PI for the whole lab, he was there, and he's a really good man. Also has a startup in Gangnam where he creates deep learning software. So after that, I went for a run. I haven't been working out as much as I'd like to lately. So I did a run, and then along the path that I go on, there are actually these pull up bars and these different weight machines. There's actually a bench press too, but there's like a set amount of weight, so you can't really bench a lot. But usually people associate these these bars and stuff and with an older demographic in Korea, like the 할머니es and 할아버지's, grandmas and grandpas, usually use those machines. But I was there with them, and it was a great workout. So my run plus that body weight stuff. After that, got home, I showered, then I walked over to the Severance Hospital, and from my place, it was actually I underestimated how long it's going to take because it took about 45 minutes to an hour, and well, it took me 45 minutes. And I cut through the Yonsei campus, the undergrad campus. It's right next to the Severance Hospital. But it was also quite hot, so it was pretty sweaty. But it was nice. And then I dropped by the bank. They're limiting my transactions, and that was getting kind of frustrating. I couldn't open up a Coupang. Not sure how it's pronounced, but it's pretty much the Amazon of Korea, and it's so much more convenient to be able to have that app because they also have a whole suite of like Coupang apps, like Coupang Eats, just like Uber Eats, and it's so convenient for living in Korea. So what I ended up doing was I went along to the bank, and then uh, through a mixture of English and Korean, I communicated that I needed help, and they really helped me out. Lady was super nice at the bank. So once I figured that out, I went over to a lady in the radiation oncology department who actually took 3 hours out of her day last week to help me open up my bank account, and then I brought her a small gift, and she really appreciated that. So that was cool. I went over to the lab after that, and then some lab members were like, "Dude, why are you here so late?" Because it was like 3 or 4 o'clock. No, 2:30. And then later that evening, I had a meeting with my PI, and he explained the next big project he wants to work on with me, and it has to do with a new therapy called IMRT for breast cancer, and it's not that new in Korea. It started in like 2015, but it requires a lot of capital to be able to to use it for a lot of different breast cancer patients. So in the US, they don't use it very much because this is from what I gather from our meeting. The the price is so high that insurance companies in the US won't insure people. Otherwise, they'll like go broke if they allowed all the people under their coverage to have that kind of option. So in this paper, it's a very contentious topic about whether or not Korea should actually continue to fund this therapy, and I'm excited to see where it goes, and my professor and I are going to work on it, and this is his big project, and I'm going to help any way I can. But after that, I met up with my friend at Starbucks pretty late at night, and then I did some studying of Korean. I'm really trying to hone in on my vocabulary, just expanding it as much as I can. And I had to move my Korean tutoring session to Wednesday because I had a fully booked day today. But that the purpose of those meetings with my tutor is to really hone down on the grammar and making sure that I'm speaking correctly, like the small details, nuances of my Korean. I am now about to eat this awesome pastry. Got my milk. I just actually finished a whole bag of donuts before I started filming, but yeah, I just want to show you guys, give you a glimpse of how awesome the pastries are in Korea. Unbelievable. Look at that. They pre-cut it and everything. Look at that. Wow. Wash it down with some milk. Anyway, I think that's about it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow.